Well, I have done what I thought to be impossible. I have finished the Silmarillion. It took me 2 attempts, and this last attempt was fairly quick. It was just about 3 months, on and off, of course. The last like 100 pages, I've done like in the last week. It was like very consistent, very compelling. But I feel like I was just consistently fluctuating. So, is this the most difficult book I've ever read? It's very tough, but I could say no. I think that has to go to War and Peace because it's just significantly longer, you know? It's 1400 pages. And I did read that when I was a teenager, so I'm a much different person now. So I think it has to go to War and Peace, but had the Silmarillion been longer, because the Silmarillion is quite short. It's the entire book is 300 pages, but if you're looking at just the Silmarillion tale and not the ending of the Second Age and Third Age, the Silmarillion's even shorter. It's about 270 pages, maybe 250. So it's quite short. So I feel like if the Silmarillion was 500 pages, then it would be very dense and very taxing, I feel. But because it's so short, it's just so much more digestible. Man, this book really did challenge me, and I love it. I like when a book challenges me. I like when I'm not just, I mean, I think because I didn't grow up as a reader, I feel like I don't expect to just disappear into a book and read for hours and escape. You know, like reading has always been a discipline for me. So I don't mind that experience because it's what I'm used to. So the fact that this is an even harder, more difficult challenge, I welcome it and it's engaging to me. I even took a bunch of notes this time during my second attempt. During my first attempt, I was just reading it. And I was annotating and all that, but I feel like I didn't understand really, even though I've heard so much reverence of the Silmarillion, I didn't understand how unique it really is, you know? And once I fell off for like a couple years. And once I fell off around page 100-ish, chapter 11, The Sun and the Moon and the Hiding of Valinor. Yeah. So I started taking notes, and I think that significantly helped me because then I could go back, and even though I was annotating a lot, I feel like you need the notes, to go back, look at the lineage, who's related to who, what type of elf are they. But that is what makes the book so difficult because it is so dense. There is so much lore. I feel like because I'm used to reading novels, even though I've read old literature, this is the first time I've read something so archaic and so just different. It's just such a different thing. It's not a compilation of short stories. It's similar to like reading the Bible, but it's still not quite that. While reading it, while going through it, it's a fun studying experience, but I still feel like I'm not being quite moved. And I feel like towards the end, and especially now in retrospect, I feel like when you look at the book at a macro level, which is what I believe Tolkien intended. You're not supposed to judge all these stories one by one. You're not supposed to really read one of the tales and I don't know, like it's not like a short story where that's a complete thing. It's all part of one big thing, the Silmarillion. And I feel like once you start to get towards the end and you start to really see this grand tale, this portrait, this macro portrait, it's just so much more compelling. It's so much more profound, really. I mean, like it's such a different thing. It's just I'm not used to it. Like books are micro. Books you're in someone's head, you're in that situation in that moment. Novels are, at least I should say. Novels are that way. And I feel like you're not really judging the book as a whole yet. You're just kind of like in that moment, how the book is making you feel. And this one is just different for me, at least my experience. It's just different. In the beginning, I did feel that way. The music of the Ainur, learning about Ilúvatar and just the Valar and all that is just so crazy, and that was so interesting. But I feel like as the book progressed towards the middle, that's when I started to be like, what's the point of these stories? What's the point of this tale, this character, like this betrayal, that betrayal, that like the most significant story is the Sons of Fëanor and Fëanor, of course. But while reading it, though it was compelling and the doom of Mandos and all that, like I couldn't help but just feel frustrated by all these characters and like, dude, like, this isn't a novel, so this isn't a character study. We're not getting into the nitty gritty of these characters and why they're doing it. It's just more objective and more like a history book, or like the Bible. So sometimes I found myself frustrated by these tales because I wanted more, and it's like one paragraph it's saying the great deeds, this person's mighty, this person is wise, and then like literally the next page it's like they're slaying their kin, and I'm just like, what the hell, you know? So, but I get it, you know, that's the thing. It's just one of those things where I have to adjust the way I approach the book. I constantly had to do that for myself, which that's not I don't think that's Tolkien's fault, you know. That's on me. That's on the individual reader, you know. This is such a legendary book that you need. I definitely will need to reread it. I want to reread it. I don't feel like, oh, I finally finished it. Like I could knock that off the list and I'm done. Like no, like I'm almost compelled to start it immediately again, which I'm not. But you know, like it is engaging, and it is something I want to read again and to really understand. And that's how I feel about the films as well, you know, like they're so dense and I love it so much that I want to keep coming back to understand more, which ultimately is why I started to read these books, you know. But yeah, though my reading experience was so difficult, I absolutely loved it. It's just so immersive. I mean, I know I'm not going to say anything new really, but this book is just so incredibly real. It's just so crazy that someone wrote this, you know. This is fantasy. This is subcreation, as Tolkien calls it, you know? I don't know why I'm so drawn to Middle Earth. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about Tolkien's writing. I've been thinking about that a lot lately since I finished it. I feel like it must be because something that I was so surprised while reading it is how though Tolkien like writes about beauty and bliss and joy and the divine and just simplicity, just love for nature, you know, like just true human things, how we were created, how we were meant to be. I feel like he expresses darkness so well, so brutal, so ugly, you know? And I just feel like the way he expresses darkness and malice is just also so engaging. And so I just feel like Tolkien is just speaking such truth. And it's crazy because he's just telling these crazy high concept fantasy, you know? And I just feel like the way he expresses dark and light is just so good. And it's just so moving. He never tries to make villains cool, you know, which I like that. I appreciate that. As much as I love darkness, as much as I love dark characters, I also like when an author won't glamorize darkness or won't promote it in some weird way. Like, this is the bad guy, but look at how awesome they are. Though he does that, I was surprised to see the direction that Maeglin took, because his little tale, I was like, damn, this is freaking sick. I was surprised how badass and cool that little tale was, but he ultimately is a dark character. I don't know, I find it interesting that Tolkien chose to write that tale, because though he had a big part later, it wasn't that big. It's not like if this is the origin tale of Sauron, or you know, or someone like that. Like, he's kind of insignificant, yet significant. So I really like that tale. I obviously love Beren and Luthien, which I'm not even gonna get into. I made 2 videos on that already. Which one of my favorites was Eärendil. I gotta say, I'm so happy that I read the Tolkien biography first, because I don't know, for those of you, because I know there's lots of Tolkien nerds, but I don't know how many of them have read biographies, you know? That character, that name, that whole concept, that idea, that was the spark of the Silmarillion for Tolkien way back when he was still in school. And I forget, it wasn't Beowulf. I forget what text he was reading and translating, but I think there's like a Swedish or Finnish probably, version of that name, Eärendil. Hail Eärendil, and just that whole thing just sparked everything. So it's just cool that that's the last tale of the Silmarillion, and the significance, what it means, what it ties into, who it ties into, Elrond and all that, and the Dunedain, you know, like all that was just so crazy. And that lineage, dude, the lineage of Elrond is crazy. Like such purity of half elven, you know. And I love all that too. How Ilúvatar, they get like in a way special treatment, but it's also it's special treatment, but it's so finite, you know, like you can't go back. You're a man now, or you're an elf now. And I just found all that so cool, so compelling. And the stuff with his wife, Elwing, right? The wings, man, it's just such a crazy tale. And yeah, I need to go back. Like, I just feel like, man, there's just so much there. There's just so much to unpack in the Silmarillion. and I can't wait to read it again. Who knows when? And Galadriel, like, so many questions there. She's so fascinating. The fact that she is from like the very first of the Noldor, and like how she's the descendant of Finwë. That's just crazy to really grasp how old Galadriel is insane. And the things she's seen, the things she knows. I do have some questions there, like, and I wonder if I'm gonna learn it in Lost Tales or whatever other stories are out there, or if it's just something we're never gonna know. But like, why is she so majestic in the Lord of the Rings? You know, why is she so like, she's so beyond like the average elf? She's so beyond Elrond. And is it the fact that she's a ring holder of the Ring of Adamant? Or is it the fact that she spent time with Melian? You know, like, that seems like a decent explanation. But I feel like, again, the Silmarillion doesn't get into it. It doesn't really say it like, oh, she left Doriath, like on the level of like the Maya or something. You know, like, I don't know. And I would love to find out, but I don't know if that answer is even out there in the books. I guess that's pretty much it. I could go on and on and on, you know, like, the Silmarillion is just crazy, you know, and I love it. It was just, I feel like I feel like it changed me. Just like how I felt after War and Peace. I do feel after reading this, like, man, I lived a life, you know, like, it's just like I lived a whole other life. It's crazy. The writing of Tolkien, man. Like, I mean, this was his life's work, you know, like, this was literally everything. So that's, I mean, it shows, you know, and I can't wait to read more because that also is part of his life's work. So final thing, I have only seen the first episode of Rings of Power. When it first came out, I saw the first episode and I just was not feeling it one bit, and I just decided to stop. And I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna finish the Silmarillion first because I want to be able to like really judge this like as best as possible. You know, I don't want to go with the masses. I want my own opinion. It's taken me a while, obviously, but now I'm done. And there's 2 seasons already. So, and now that I've read the Rings of Power and all that, you know, I'm like, wow, like, clearly from what I saw in that first episode, from what I vaguely remember, I'm like, it seems like none of those characters exist in Tolkien's lore, you know, like, aside from Galadriel, Galadriel, Elrond, Celebrimbor, of course. So yeah, like, we'll see. I think I'm gonna watch it, but yeah, that'll be interesting to judge because I mean, I haven't been spoiled, you know, and that's the thing. The stuff with the Numenorians and Sauron, the Fall, that's all so interesting. But it seems like that's not really the main focus. I don't know. I'll find out for myself. But yeah, that's my rambling, my review, my experience of the Silmarillion. I can't believe I've done it. It's crazy. But let me know your thoughts on the Silmarillion, your experience, how many times you've read it. Yeah, thanks for watching.